Retirement sounded perfect on paper. You had more time, less stress, finally had the freedom you wanted. But the reality came with some surprises I didn't expect. And if I'm being honest, there's a few things I wish someone had told me before I retired. Lessons that would have saved me some stress, some worry, and a lot of second guessing. So folks, today I want to share those with you so your retirement can start calmer and feel a whole lot more enjoyable from day one. And first, if you're already retired or you're getting close, don't worry. Nobody gets this perfectly right. Retirement, it's not a math problem that you only solve once. Folks, it's a life transition you grow into. You know, the goal isn't perfection. It's learning as you go. It's simply to learn from people who've already walked the road. So you don't have to learn everything the hard way. Before I retired, I treated retirement like a financial finish line. You hit the number, you build the savings, you check the boxes, and then everything will feel peaceful, right? But here's what surprised me. Money solves stress, but it doesn't automatically create happiness. You know, I've met retirees with plenty of saved who still feel restless, and others with modest incomes who feel completely content. The difference usually isn't their portfolio, it's their life, their relationships, their routines, their sense of meaning. If all your planning energy goes into spreadsheets and calculators, you can accidentally forget to plan the actual life you're retiring into. Questions like, what will my days look like? Who will I spend my time with? What am I going to wake up excited about? Because retirement isn't just not working, it's replacing work with something better. And if you don't plan that part, the days can feel surprisingly empty. So yes, plan your money, but plan your life just as carefully. This one kind of caught me completely off guard. You know, nobody talks about the emotional side of retirement. But those first months, they can feel strange. You go from decades of structure, alarms, meetings, schedules, responsibilities, to suddenly nothing. And at first it feels amazing, really. Then a few weeks later you think, okay, now what? You know, I remember sitting at the kitchen table one Tuesday morning thinking, shouldn't I be somewhere right now? And that's when it hit me. This wasn't stress, it was just adjustment. There can be this quiet feeling of, did I make the right choice? Should I still be working? Why do I feel so unsettled when I thought I'd feel more relaxed? Folks, that's normal, completely normal. You know, it's not regret, it's adjustment. Just changing your income. You're changing your identity. You know, for decades you probably answered this question, what do you do with your job title? Now you have to answer it differently, and that takes time. So if you feel a little lost early on, don't panic. It doesn't mean you're retired too early. It just means you're human. And knowing that ahead of time makes the transition so much gentler. Let me take a quick pause for a second. Folks, if you appreciate calm, practical conversations like this, no hype, no scare tactics, just real retirement guidance, consider subscribing to my channel. That's exactly what I do here. All right, let's just keep going here. If there's one thing I'm underestimated, it's this: retirement isn't just about how long you live, it's about how well you live. Because what good is freedom if you don't have the energy to enjoy it? You know, I've seen people retire with plenty of money, but their health limits everything. Travel feels exhausting, walking hurts, simple activities feel like chores. And that's heartbreaking because retirement is supposed to be your most flexible time. I used to think of health as something, well, I'll deal with later. Now I see it as an investment. You know, walking daily, a little bit of light strength training, eating a little bit better, sleeping well. None of it's extreme, but it compounds just like your money will. Energy is freedom, folks. The ability to say yes to life, and honestly, that's worth more than a few extra $1,000 in the bank to me. This one might be the most important of all, really. Without purpose, retirement can quietly feel empty. Not dramatic, not terrible, just flat. Weekdays blur together, you lose track of time, and you can start wondering, why don't I feel as fulfilled as you would expect? Here's what I learned. We don't just need relaxation, we need usefulness. We need something that says, I matter, I contribute, I'm needed. And that might be volunteering, helping your grandkids, starting a small project, learning something new. How about working part-time? Like to build something maybe? How about teaching others? You know, it doesn't have to make money. It just has to make a meaning. The happiest retirees I know, they aren't the ones doing nothing. They're the ones doing something that feels meaningful. Folks, purpose gives your days shape. And shape gives you satisfaction. Here's something retirement teaches you pretty quickly. Nothing goes exactly as planned. Markets change. Cost of things change. Your health changes. Family needs change. Folks, if your plan only works under perfect conditions, it's going to feel pretty stressful. But if you're flexible, if you're calm, if you adjust, you adapt, and life feels a little bit lighter. You know, the retirees who struggle most are often trying to control everything. The ones who thrive say, okay, let's adjust. So maybe you travel less one year. Maybe you change your spending habits. Maybe delay a big purchase. Try something new. Flexibility beats perfection every time. Because retirement isn't a straight line, folks. It's more like a winding path. And that's okay. So if I could go back and talk to my pre-retirement self, I wouldn't just talk about numbers. I'd say balance money and life. Expect emotional adjustments. You need to take care of your health early. Most importantly, find purpose. Stay flexible. Because retirement, it isn't about building a perfect plan, folks. It's about alignment. You know, when your finances, your mindset, and your lifestyle, they all work together, that's when retirement actually feels peaceful. It's not perfect, it's peaceful. And honestly, that's what most of us really want. So if this felt close to your situation or helped you feel a little bit more prepared, you might really enjoy the rest of the videos in this series where we talk about things like Social Security, strategies, real life spending, common mistakes that retirees make, and simple ways to actually enjoy your retirement. So feel free to check those videos out next. And if you want calm, honest conversations about retirement, folks, without the hype, the fear, or the scare tactics, consider subscribing to Retired Under Budget. That's exactly what this channel is here for. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me today. I'm glad you're here, and I'll see you in the next one.